Okay, so let's watch Fauci, gain of function research, and the Wuhan lab funding. So Krystal and Saagar both had they had some decent takes on the Amazon shit. So let's take a look at what kind of indecent takes they're gonna have here.
If this is true, the lab leak hypothesis is true. Yes, the Chinese covered it up. Guess what? The Chinese are liars, and they covered up SARS, and they've covered up basically everything that's come out of their country for the last like 30 years. That's not a shock. The shock.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Damn, bro, dial it back a little bit, dude. God damn, he's just like, this is only acceptable because, and I talked about this on the podcast earlier today with Will. It's like America is a dying empire, and they feel that there's an existential threat that they're getting from the other competing superpower that is like pushing towards becoming the hegemonic power, which is China. So it is seen as like completely acceptable to just say stuff like this. Being a China hawk is just like a completely acceptable position. Much like, you know, being a Red Scare McCarthyist during the Cold War.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, 2017, reverses the ban on gain-of-function research, directs this funding to EcoHealth Alliance, Dr. Peter Daszak, who then gives it to the Wuhan Institute of Virology for the study of novel bat coronaviruses. And then when the pandemic turns around, we take Dr. Peter Daszak as the only American to join the World Health Organization's investigation team into whether coronavirus leaked from a lab. And on 60 Minutes, I forget who was interviewing him, she goes, well, wait, so how did you verify it? Did you just ask them? And he goes, well, what else can we do? Because he's also half British. Well, what else can we do? Oh, we could read emails. He said there were no live bats inside of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Sky News Australia just revealed 2017 video that bats were present inside the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And the deputy director says, before this, China had no experience in BSL-4 laboratory. That's the highest level safety for a laboratory. But we have been here, and I don't forget, I don't want to misquote him, but he said something along the lines of creating new viruses, synthesizing new viruses.
But they asked her about gain-of-function research, and I'm sure your listeners mostly know that gain-of-function research is basically modifying these to see how can we make these pathogens more dangerous, right? And it's in and of itself very dangerous because these things do leak from labs relatively routinely. And she says,
the entire purpose of gain-of-function research is so that we're well prepared for potential mutations. And no, it does not fucking leak relatively routinely. Like, these are some pretty fucking big mistakes to make when you're on a platform like this. I don't know what Hasan doesn't get, bro. Not all of the scientists in the world are nice. What? Bro, that is literally like a 12-year-old brain, dude. You have a 12-year-old's brain. You think there's evil scientists that are like, ha, we will destroy the world. Oh, this is so good. Like, not even 12 years old, dude. You think mad scientists are the ones who are like, fuck me, dude. Explain Raccoon City. Motherfuckers think like, this is like Umbrella Corps, dude. Which is cool. And it's like fun to think about it that way, but the real world is not as cool, unfortunately. Motives can be described with something significantly more easy to describe, which is just making money, or another motivation like pride. You know what I mean? It's not like someone is evil and or that like China was genetically modifying viruses because there's like mad scientists there and they like leaked it on purpose or whatever the fuck. You don't think scientists look out for their own self-interest and are willing to lie? I mean, I do think scientists look out for their own interests, but like, do you think the international scientific community that was completely unrelated to like the Wuhan Virology Institute looked at the potential mutations or human interference in the genetic code of this viral strain and found that, there was no human there was no human interference in it specifically to like defend the international scientific community as a whole or something? Like, are they all lying? You sound like a flat earther at that point. Yes, Fauci controls all of their funding. Oh, I didn't realize that Anthony Fauci controlled all the funding of all the scientific research that has ever existed on the fucking planet. That's crazy. He's the puppet master, dude. This is real. This is verging on Italiophobia, and I will not allow it. I don't know, man. It really fucking weirds me out that like so many liberals are jumping on board with like borderline Q-style conspiracies here. People are getting like one step removed from the plandemic with some of these fucking takes, dude. At most, what occurred is gain-of-function research that that leaked on accident out of a fucking virology institute that was not following the protocols as best as they should have. That's like the most extreme scenario that would prove the lab leak hypothesis, and that's it. Anything beyond that is psychotic. I think it's crazy to not think it leaked out of the lab. Why is that crazy? The problem here is that people can't comprehend how diseases spread from animal to animal. So it sounds far-fetched, which is precisely why you think like people think that one, coronavirus is only studied in like Wuhan or some shit. That's not true. Or people think that coronavirus is a new virus. It's not. If you talk to like fucking dudes who own farms, like they were aware of the vaccines they have to give their own fucking cattle in order to make sure that they don't get fucking COVID for years. Coronavirus isn't new. What's new here is that this specific strain was able to jump from animals to humans, which is usually when shit starts popping off, like SARS before it, and that's why it's SARS-CoV-19 or SARS-CoV-2. Who made you the expert on this? I'm not an expert on this at all, which is why I resort to expert analysis when I'm talking about it. But it is completely understandable to study both bats, which are very common transmitters of genetic mutation to other animals. And it's also very understandable that the Wuhan Institute, which is in an incredibly population-dense area, which is, again, understandable to have a fucking virology institute there, would be studying both bats and also coronavirus in general. As Asimov Ex Machina also correctly points out, why does Wuhan have a lab designed for studying coronavirus? Almost like China had a coronavirus outbreak in 2002 to 2004 with SARS so they could try and prevent future ones. Yes.
We were not doing gain-of-function research because what we were doing wasn't making it more virulent or dangerous. It was seeing if it could jump from species to species. I'm sorry. Isn't that like the definition of making it more dangerous for us? Seeing if you can make it jump into our species? Like, that seems like that's pretty dangerous.
So, okay, so this is the area where like both me and Krystal are completely out of our depth to talk about. It's just ridiculous to like have this sort of take. You read an article about gain-of-function research that was like fear-mongering, most likely, some of which were written by like actual weirdo think tank people that just want to fear-monger against China in general, or have their own personal reasons for why they're writing the shit that they're writing. And then you adopt that position and you just like fucking blurt it out without looking into it any further. The U.S. funded the fucking lab, did they not? The U.S. funds labs all around the world. Of course, they're going to continuously fund labs that are engaging in this sort of research. It's for potential prevention in the future. They're studying viruses. This is what fucking scientists do. It's not suspicious even remotely. But the reason why people make it seem like it's suspicious is because they lose a part of their fucking brain that makes it seem as though like the international community of scientists that are like funding projects in other countries, specifically as it pertains to epidemiology, is somehow a conspiracy and something to be skeptical over.
How does Fauci get away with standing there under oath and saying
media?
100%.
It's all media pressure,
Well,
which is he's the god.
It's the anti-Trump derangement syndrome, right? Fauci was put up as like the anti-Trump guy.
I don't even disagree with some of these takes. Like, I do think that Fauci was propped up as like a deity, and he was seen as like the counterweight to like Trump's idiocy. And liberals love making like heroes out of motherfuckers, like they did with another Italian. Motherfucking Cuomo, what you doing? Right? Like they did that against Trump as well. So I don't disagree with those takes. I think that that is true. Did that motivate them to overlook a potential other hypothesis that was credible at the time? Yes. I think that, yeah, that is true. They should have covered the potential lab leak theory beyond just saying like Donald Trump is pushing it, right? Fauci's a god figure, not a trained medical expert. What are you talking about? What? No, the promotion of Fauci was definitely like beyond. It was mythologized. It was definitely beyond like just that this is like a medical expert and we need to listen to him. He was seen as like the intelligent being in the Trump administration. He was certainly propped up. Motherfuckers got Fauci tattoos, bro. Get the fuck out of here. You were so outspoken about how dumb the lab leak theory was in the past, and now there's evidence. You just don't want to seem wrong for having such a strong opinion against it. Is that why I'm saying it's credible? The same amount of evidence for the lab leak theory exists for the other, like, animal transmission theory, which there is no evidence over. So that's the problem. And not only that, but I'm saying it's still credible. Like, it's still credible. And even acknowledging the blind side that I had as well as everyone else. But, like, it's still a fucking theory, dog. It's not the reality. You were saying it's credible now. Months ago, you were calling it conspiracy Trump bullshit. Yeah, there's more fucking evidence, I guess. It's not actually evidence, though. It's still just as credible as the other theory. There is no fucking evidence. Like, it's just still another theory. I'm saying it's a credible one. The conspiracy that I was pushing back against is the fact that it was a bioweapon, because motherfuckers marry the two ideas all the time, which is why the moment that I bring up that it's not a fucking bioweapon, half the chat jumps onto that conclusion and starts attacking me and saying it certainly was human modified. It certainly was engineered. The only thing that I defended against was this notion that there was a human modification, that this was somehow modified by human beings. This virus was designed in a fucking lab. And the only reason for why I'm against it is not because I myself am a microbiologist or something. It's because other medical professionals and PhD researchers very quickly looked into the genetic mutations and recognized that it had no human interference in the genetic code. And if tomorrow other credible scientists get together and say, this is wrong, we were originally wrong, then I will change my fucking position. And I will admit that I was wrong, because it's not me. Like, I'm not the one who's looking at the genetic code, and neither are you. All I have is to look at the readily available evidence that is consumable. The term you're looking for is logically valid, not credible. Yeah, I do think it's logically valid for a potential lab leak to happen, just like I think it's logically valid for the bat pangolin theory. You should be more mad if I was sitting here being like, no, the fucking lab leak shit is like bullshit. A lot of these super significant and super deadly viruses have jumped from different animals before finally arriving at human beings. So it is not fucking far-fetched. It seems dumb from our point of view, because we're laymen and idiots, to look at something like this and go, a bat interfered with a pangolin, and then from a pangolin this like jumped over to human beings? Like, shut up, dude. That's so fucking stupid. No, it's neatly wrapped up in a bow. It's the Umbrella Corporation style thing that the CCP was doing to murder white people in the Western societies because they were jealous of our economic prosperity. Like, yeah, I know. One gives you comfort, okay? It gives you comfort. It's cool. It's like science fiction. But unfortunately, the truth is usually very boring. Still don't know the natural source of HIV or Ebola. Does that mean those are also created in a lab? I mean, yeah, that's literally what some people actually believe.
Not only was it, Trump and his band of wackos are the ones that are promoting this theory, but also that this theory is somehow racist. Mm-hmm. And the moment that the lab leak theory was pegged as racist, that's when it really became toxic for anyone in the mainstream to ask questions about.
What the fuck? They literally were saying this is the China virus or the Kung flu. Like, that shit wasn't actually for, scientific skepticism. That's so weird, dude. Like, motherfuckers didn't want to go to Chinese restaurants because they were worried you were going to get fucking COVID from Chinese food, bro. Like, what is this? What are we doing? Like, oh, was there a scientific purpose for that, dude? I'm sorry, boys. This is definitely something I've been advocating against since day one. And I still am 100% on board with this, the words I said last year. And that is that, like, most of the time, for the overwhelming majority of people that are like, oh, it's the lab leak from Wuhan. It's the lab leak from Wuhan. It's not just about like an accident. It's also, there's a sense of like deliberately leaking this shit. It always marries in or ties into like personally modifying a virus as a bioweapon. If you don't see that, you're fucking delusional. And that's precisely why every time I bring it up, that's why I have said what I said in the past and continue to say it. Like, people make it seem like there is some deadly intent behind this leak occurring, and it's simply the same. It has the exact same amount of fucking evidence as like a bat fucking a pangolin, okay, or whatever the fuck the original theory is. Fit T Sales Rep says the logic makes no sense because why would China release it on its own citizens? Orientalism, my friend. Orientalist, xenophobic attitudes in America create this notion that like Chinese people are fucking demons that don't care about murdering their own citizens, and they will say that over and over again. Straight up, at the heart of every single person that says shit like that, investigate that sentiment a little bit further, and you will recognize that they just don't care. Like, they'll say like Chinese people just don't care about Chinese people. There's too many of them, and they will blindly murder their own citizens just to get one off on Americans or some shit. See? Doesn't China kill more of its citizens every year than any other country? Says the motherfucker in America without healthcare, dude. Can you imagine being an American citizen that jails a larger percentage of its population than any other country on the planet, that literally doesn't have fucking healthcare, that doesn't have free education at higher institutions, that literally turns around and says like, China is killing all of their citizens, bro. They just don't care. They love killing their citizens, bro. They love killing their citizens. It's something that's super fun. The problem with a quote unquote bioweapon is how unpredictable it is. So even if China was building a bioweapon, they wouldn't fucking release it on their own citizens because you don't know how it's going to jump. Okay? Do you not understand that? If it was a fucking bioweapon, they wouldn't want to accidentally leak it onto their own people. Not the same. You can call out both of us, sound like you're defending a piece of shit authoritarian state. Wait, what? If you think that I'm defending China and their re-education camps, it's kind of on you, my friend. That's your basic comprehension skills are not really there. And secondly, if you don't think that we have actual fucking concentration camps here in the form of immigration detention centers, then you're also delusional.
We should be talking right now. Did U.S. government funds explicitly directed towards novel coronavirus research, which led to the worst pandemic in a century and cost the global economy trillions of dollars? The response from the scientific community has been we need more gain-of-function research, $1.2 billion to the Global Virome Project. And so once again, the scientific community wanted all of this covered up. They teamed up with the media.
Oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. This is literally fucking... Oh my God, dude. This is like freakishly Luddite, anti-science, and borderline like NASA is actually, dictating that the international scientific community lie that the Earth is actually fucking flat shit, okay? This is exactly the same thing that flat earthers say. That like, or the Earth is flat, and also that the international scientific community is like lying to you, and they're all led by NASA. But instead, substitute NASA, swap out NASA for Anthony Fauci. And the Earth is flat isn't that the Earth is flat, but also like that science is purposely murdering us. That's crazy, man. That's fucking crazy, dude.
To protect their funding resources. Because what people forget, Fauci is actually the king of funding. The National Institute of Infectious Disease, I believe that's NIAID, that's what he's in charge of. They are the primary funding authority for huge amounts of the scientific community. Like, for my dad is a professor at Texas A&M, and so I know a little bit about funding and like the way that you keep your tenure positions in a lot of these universities. They have to keep the dollars flowing. So if you admit this is gain-of-function research, you start asking questions, NIH and Fauci can fucking cut you off. Like, this is a whole business.
Bro, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Motherfucker said my dad's a professor. I know these things. What is his dad a professor of? He's not wrong. This notion that like there would be an international cover-up because everyone's worried about like not getting NIH grants is so fucking stupid, dude. That's not how this works, man. The NIAID isn't the only fucking institute that engages in public grants. That's why they're constantly, hiding the truth, dude. That's why scientific research is like, it never actually contradicts itself later down the line, bro. Like, as though like American grants are the only fucking grants that people work off of. Like, that's it. My dad told me, bro, he's a fucking electrical engineering professor, bro. He told me, bro. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Fauci's grants, bro. But hey, fucking he knows, dude. Other scientists are telling him stuff, dude. This is literally the dumbest, most anti-science, stupid fucking take, dude. I'm sorry. Here's why this is stupid, okay? Because the damage done to academia and the scientific community would be incomprehensible and far worse than a cover-up for something like this. Like, this notion that you could cover something like this up, that you could just be like, nah, dude, it's actually, this was like a real fucking... this was a real situation. Like, all of the random dipshits and the conspiracy theorists are actually correct. They found bats at the Labason. Dude, these people are so dumb. I don't know how to respond to someone when they're so fucking stupid that they don't recognize that, of course, virology institutes are going to literally look at bats because bats are a massive transmitter. You're looking at something that is innocuous and saying that, like, this is actually crazy because it's crazy to you because you're too stupid to understand and you haven't thought it through.
Look, the core theme of our show is like follow the money, right? So follow the money. Where's the money lead? At least Fauci, Peter Daszak. Look, I don't want to sound crazy, but this is basically like a global conspiracy. It's a total cover-up of the Chinese government, the U.S. government. People are being lied to. They have been completely lied to on this story. I do think this is the biggest failure since Iraq WMD.
He said this, which is ironic because, like, the WMD lie was to justify the Iraq war, and he's literally trying to do what is happening in the Iraq war with China, which I find to be the most ironic sentiment expressed here, because, like, he's literally like, I don't like that we, warmongered against Iraq under false assumptions. So now I'm going to warmonger against China. Like, he's one of the #1 China hawks in independent media, dude. It's crazy. My criticisms of their show is like how nice they were to fucking like Tulsi Gabbard and shit. Whenever I see people like who are over the top fucking nice to very transparent grifters like Tulsi Gabbard, I question their nose for this, because you should be better. You should know better. Or I question whether they're grifters or not. And I think it's a big column A, column B with regards to Krystal and Saagar. I find it funny, if some American ragtag conservative fish market started this virus, you would have been lambasting the U.S. to this day for starting the virus, yet you're so hands-off to China. Why is that? I find it funny that in the hypothetical that I made up in my mind, you would be reacting entirely differently, even though I have no evidence whatsoever. So I thought up a situation where you would, like, I literally made up a situation, made up your reaction to it, and I want you to address that right now. Curious. That's cool, man. Let me play into your delusions a little bit further. Yo, you got me good, dude. Are there other hypothetical situations where you have also made up your mind on how I would behave? That's like Radlib shit right there. You know, when people are like, what if hypothetically you actually did commit a microaggression, but when you didn't? Or I assumed you committed a microaggression when you actually didn't. So I'm going to get mad at you. You need to apologize right now. It's like, no, I didn't do that. You made that up. That's in your head. Why am I supposed to apologize for what you just made up?